If you close your eyes and picture the upscale al-Rehab neighborhood in Egypt, you imagine tranquility, right? The soft ambient noise of comfortable living.
Exactly. And on a night in 2023, that was the scene inside one apartment. Amira, Omar, their young daughter, Rania.
Good nights were said. That sort of familiar domestic hum settles in. And Amira, she goes off for her usual solitary meditation session.
But maybe an hour later, that quiet is just shattered. Omar's in another room and he hears it. Not just a shout, but this awful, thick, garbled cry.
And then a heavy fall.
Yeah, a thud, followed immediately by these frantic, piercing screams that barely sounded human.
So he runs, obviously, sprints towards the noise, and what he finds is, well, it's instant horror.
Amira's on the floor. There's blood everywhere. She's plunging a pair of scissors repeatedly deep into her own neck, her chest.
But she's not fighting against it.
No, that's the terrifying part. She seems to be fighting to complete it, crying out, looking up at the ceiling, just consumed by this belief. My time has come. I must die.
Unbelievable. So Omar, he just reacts.
Pure instinct. He tackles her, manages to wrestle the scissors away. They're soaked in blood, and he's desperately trying to stop the bleeding from these wounds she's given herself.
He doesn't understand the words, but he knows she's dying.
Right. He gets her stable enough, just barely, to call for an ambulance for emergency help.
But that immediate crisis, saving her life, it gives way to something so much worse when the paramedics get there.
It does. As they're working on Amira, getting her secured for the hospital, they make the second discovery. The one that changes everything.
Rania, the little girl.
Rania, their 3-year-old daughter. She's already dead. And the physical evidence tells a story. A distinct bluish discoloration, clear bruising, signs of strangulation around her neck.
So this wasn't something that happened in the heat of that moment with the scissors.
No. The signs suggested she'd been killed sometime before Amira's own violent suicide attempt.
And this is where our deep dive really has to begin. We're looking at Amira Benahem, a name that, well, it sends chills across the Arab world now.
Because she wasn't some isolated, struggling person on the fringes. She was actually quite celebrated, known professionally as an energy healing expert.
An energy healing expert, that's quite a title.
It is. And she'd actually given up a pretty glamorous, successful career as a flight attendant to follow this path she claimed was, well, divine.
Okay, so our mission here is to try and piece together this whole story, this transformation. How does someone go from that life to this? And what did she actually confess? Because the official response is also puzzling.
It really is. The details are just so jarring because the shift is so extreme. To understand how she ends up covered in blood, screaming about needing to die, we need to go back. Back to the ambitious young woman she started as.
Okay, where does her story begin?
She graduated from university in Tunisia back in 2009. Came from a pretty standard middle-class family.
But there was something different about her drive.
Sources really highlight that, yeah. She had this powerful, deep-seated ambition. Her long-term goal was very clear. She wanted to be a flight attendant for a major international airline.
Not just any job, then. It was about status. Distinction.
It seems so. Like she always carried this feeling, even early on, of being, well, maybe superior or at least destined for something more than the people around her. Very self-focused.
And she makes it happen.
She does. That focus pays off. By 2013, she lands that coveted job with a big airline based in the UAE.
Okay, so she moves there. Living in the UAE, exposed to all these different cultures, philosophies, that must have been significant.
Hugely significant. But maybe not in the way you'd first think. It wasn't like she found traditional religion or spirituality there. She found something else.
What was it?
She got completely drawn into what she understood as energy science. This became her obsession.
Energy science. What does that actually mean in her context?
Well, her core belief, the foundation of it all, was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Everybody carries negative energy, right? But she believed if you could learn to harness and control your true energy, you could basically purge all the bad stuff and fill yourself with positive energy.
So it's very focused on personal power, personal control.
Entirely. It's a very self-centered kind of philosophy, really. Yeah. All about mastering your own inner state.
And this path leads her where? Not towards established religion, you said.
No, quite the opposite, actually. It led her directly towards occult practices. Instead of seeking guidance from, recognized spiritual path, she started seeking out these energy experts.
What kind of experts?
People who read coffee cups, the Fangel red palms, use tarot cards to predict the future, that kind of...
So it starts out maybe as curiosity, like a bit of fun.
It might have started that way, yeah. Maybe a fun thing to do with friends. But the information suggests it escalated quickly.
This wasn't just dabbling anymore.
Not at all. She began attending expensive professional sessions. These were specifically focused on energy release and gaining total control over this energy.
While still working as a flight attendant.
Yes, while still flying, earning a good income. But she was pouring significant amounts of money into this belief system. She was convinced that these experts, these energy healers, had real hidden abilities, and she needed to learn them herself.
And meanwhile, on the surface, life seems pretty normal. Stable, even.
Outwardly, yes. In 2017, she marries Omar. He's a successful Egyptian engineer, also working in the UAE, 4 years younger than her.
And their life together.
Initially very stable, seemingly happy, Omar noticed her growing interest in yoga, meditation, energy sciences, but he just saw it as a hobby. Maybe a slightly intense one, but still just a modern interest. He didn't perceive a fundamental shift in her.
But then something changes that. A catalyst.
The birth of their daughter, Rania, in 2020. That seems to be the major turning point. Post-birth, the hobby didn't just intensify, it seems to have tipped over into, well, genuine delusion.
How did that manifest?
Amira started telling Omar, telling others, that she was seeing things, hearing things nobody else could perceive.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. She claimed these weren't just random occurrences. These were advanced special powers. She believed she could predict future events now, all because her energy control is becoming superior. She thought she'd moved beyond being just ordinary.
Wow. And she doesn't keep this private. She decides to professionalize it.
That's the next crucial step.
Yeah.
She wasn't content being a, gifted amateur in her own mind. She wanted validation, legitimacy.
So she seeks out formal training.
She travels all the way to Italy, attends a specialized training workshop at one of the biggest centers for these energy sciences, and she comes back with a certificate.
A certificate stating what?
Officially certifying her as an energy professor.
An energy professor. That sounds quite official.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And that professional validation seems to have been the final piece she needed. It gave a sort of credibility, a stamp of approval to what was essentially just esoteric belief.
So now she's certified. What next?
She immediately opens her own center back in the UAE, starts offering services. And these were high-priced services.
What kind of things did she offer?
A mix, some recognizable things like yoga, meditation, but also music therapy, palm reading, tarot cards, astrology, the whole gamut.
And was she successful?
Incredibly so, financially. Her marketing was apparently very shrewd. She built this persona, this brand. She became known as the energy healing expert.
Appearing on TV?
Frequently, yes.
Yeah.
On various UAE television programs. So you have this really bizarre contradiction building.
Right. A successful businesswoman, a minor celebrity even, building this profitable career.
Based entirely on practices that, many would describe as complete quackery. But Omar, her husband, still operating in what we'd call reality, just saw his wife achieving her dreams, becoming a driven entrepreneur.
Okay, so the scene shifts again. They move.
Right. In 2023, Omar gets a better job offer, an engineering position back in Egypt. So the family relocates to Al Rehab, that upscale Cairo neighborhood we started in.
And Amira's reaction to the move?
She was apparently thrilled. She believed the market for energy experts for her kind of services was even bigger, even stronger in Egypt.
So she sets up shop again.
Immediately.
Always.
Opens a new center. This one focused more specifically on meditation and music therapy.
And this center, was it different?
The descriptions suggest it was. This is where the atmosphere itself starts to feel off. It wasn't just calm and soothing anymore. She used strange instruments, apparently creating this bizarre environment.
How bizarre.
So much so that clients reported leaving, feeling really unsettled, like they felt a third presence had been in the room with them during the sessions.
That's deeply unsettling. And Amira herself.
Her behavior was deteriorating noticeably by this point, talking openly to people who weren't there, looking at her own reflection, strangely, with paranoia, losing her grip.
But the foundation for this final break, it was laid earlier, wasn't it? There was a specific event.
Yes, we have to rewind slightly again to October 2021. This is described as maybe the most critical, the most dangerous workshop she ever attended.
Where was this one?
It took place in Egypt, near the pyramids. Very evocative location. It was led by an Italian expert who remained anonymous, and it was very exclusive. Only about 15 people attended.
Near the pyramids, an anonymous Italian expert. This sounds intense. What happened there?
The sources detail this ritual that happened at the end of the workshop. The Italian expert told her to close her eyes. He performed some very specific, deliberate hand movements around her, touched designated spots on her body.
And the effect on Amira?
According to her later testimony, it was immediate, absolute. She felt instantly transported, completely detached from her body, like she'd entered another life, another reality altogether.
Wow. And when she came back, returned to normal consciousness.
That's when her claims shifted dramatically. It wasn't just about having special powers anymore. Now she believed she had a celestial mission.
A celestial mission. Based on what?
She claimed that during that transported state, she had actually seen and spoken with the prophets Jesus, Isa, and Moses, Musa.
Seriously? Jesus and Moses?
That's what she claimed. And she said they told her she was chosen, that she'd been given unique celestial gifts, special blessings, karamat.
So she's now having conversations with major religious figures who are confirming her special status. What about the Italian expert, the guy who supposedly facilitated this? What did he say?
Well, when she asked him later, why me? Why did you choose me for this? The sources just describe him giving this strange, unsettling laugh and then saying nothing, just silence.
That's creepy. But the silence didn't last. He contacted her again.
He did, and this is where it gets even more bizarre, if that's possible. First, he contacted her and made this audacious claim. He told her he had personally created her.
He created her? What did she make of that?
She initially resisted that idea. Apparently, it didn't quite fit her narrative.
So he changed his story.
He revised his claim. When the creation angle didn't land, he told her something else. He told her that he was actually the promised Mahdi Isi Nokrun, the awaited Redeemer figure in Islam.
Wait, the workshop leader claimed he was the Mahdi?
Yes. And because he was the Mahdi, she, Amira, now had this unique celestial mission directly from him.
And this led Amira to believe. What about herself?
This solidified everything for her. It led her to this final, fully formed and incredibly dangerous delusion. She came to believe she was the Virgin Mary, St. Mary herself.
Flight attendant to energy professor
Yeah.
to the Virgin Mary. The trajectory is just staggering. So when this delusion becomes absolute, what happens to the people closest to her, like Omar?
He instantly shifts in her mind, from husband, partner, father of her child, to enemy.
An enemy, why?
She started voicing extreme paranoia about him. She saw him as one of the non-chosen, impure, someone who could easily sabotage her divine mission, harm her because he wasn't part of this celestial reality she now inhabited. He became a threat.
Which brings us full circle, doesn't it? Back to that quiet apartment in Al Rehab, the meditation session, the screams.
Exactly. During that final solitary meditation session, her delusion seems to have peaked. The sources confirm this is when she received in her mind the final deadly mandate.
And her confession later. What did she say happened in that moment? What was the motive?
She gave a statement to security officials while recovering from her self-inflicted wounds in the hospital. She testified that during the meditation, the full figures of Jesus and Moses appeared before her.
Not just voices, but full apparitions.
Full figures, yes. They confirmed her identity as the Virgin Mary, and they commanded her, ascend to heaven immediately.
And Rania, her daughter.
They told her she must take her loved ones with her, specifically Rania, but she had to leave the evil ones, meaning Omar, behind.
That distinction is horrifyingly clear. Rania was worthy of going with her. Omar was not.
Precisely.
Yeah.
She saw Rania as pure, part of the divine plan. Omar was the obstacle, the impure one to be left behind in the corrupt world.
And the method. The chilling detail about how she killed Rania.
It's deeply disturbing. She testified that because she loved Rania so much, she couldn't bear the thought of using the scissors or anything sharp on her. She feared it would cause her daughter unnecessary pain or distress.
So
Instead, she chose to choke her. She believed it would be quicker, maybe more peaceful, a gentler way to help her daughter ascend with her to heaven.
Only after she was certain Rania was dead did she turn the scissors on herself.
That's what she claimed. Her focus was entirely on completing this perceived divine command.
And her attitude in the hospital after Omar had saved her, was there remorse? Guilt?
None reported. Her primary emotion seems to have been anger and distress, that Omar had intervened, that he'd saved her life and stopped her ascension.
Who was angry he saved her.
Bitterly complained about it. She said the moment he pulled her back, stopped her suicide attempt, the divine voices, the figures of Jesus and Moses, they instantly vanished. He had interrupted her connection to the divine.
This is just beyond comprehension. But then comes the legal aspect, the part that makes this case even harder to categorize.
Right, because here's the fact that shifts the whole narrative again. Despite all these claims seeing prophets, being the Virgin Mary, receiving divine commands despite the horrific act itself.
Hmm.
There was a full mental evaluation conducted as part of the legal investigation.
And the conclusion?
The official conclusion was that Amira Benahem was completely mentally sound. No diagnosable cognitive issues, no temporary insanity defense.
Completely mentally sound. How is that even possible given everything she claimed and did?
That's the crux of why this case is considered one of the most bizarre in the region. The state essentially viewed her actions as calculated, intentional murder, rooted in an extreme delusional belief system, but not rooted in a recognized mental illness that would absolve her of responsibility.
So the investigation itself had to grapple with the power of these beliefs, this energy science.
Absolutely. It forced a spotlight onto how widespread belief in these practices is and the kind of influence these so-called experts can have.
Which leaves us with this massive contradiction.
Exactly. You have this educated, successful individual. She fully buys into a belief system, invests huge amounts of money, builds a career, achieves fame based on it.
And then that same system, in her mind, mandates the most horrific act imaginable, killing her own child.
And through it all, she's judged legally sane, cognitively sound.
The material we've looked at really highlights that public faith in energy healing, in experts claiming these powers, but it contrasts it so sharply with the description of these practices as basically quackery, illusion.
It forces you to ask, what does it mean for society when a delusion can be so well-packaged, so professionalized, so profitable?
If the Italian expert claims he's the Mahdi and Amira believes she's the Virgin Mary, they're operating entirely outside observable reality, yet within a system that gave her status and income.
And if she's certified, celebrated, and judged sane by the courts, where does society draw the line? When does a profitable, esoteric belief system cross over into lethal delusion?
It raises a really difficult question, something maybe for you to think about. The whole story seems to hinge on this idea that a personal conviction, no matter how detached from reality, can become absolute. What happens when a widely accepted, even commercialized belief system provides the actual framework for someone to justify murder as a celestial mission? Where does responsibility truly lie?